Hi everyone, I am Manolia. Today's topic is the internal structure of words and processes of word formation. There are some formal criteria for wordhood which all speakers use. There are 6 different perspectives on what constitutes a word. We will focus on these. Firstly, orthography. A word is defined as what appears between spaces in writing. According to this criterion, words are defined by the spaces in writing. For example, supermarket and noteworthy are considered single words, as well as hyphenated forms like jack of all trades, forget-me-not, and runner-up. However, phrases like travel agency and takeout are considered multiple words due to spaces. Semantic. A word has a clear and unified meaning or semantic concept. From a semantic perspective, both single words and phrases can have a unified concept. For instance, supermarket and toy store convey clear and unified semantic meanings. Now, synthetic. A word can be moved as a complete unit within a sentence, and it's not divided into parts during this process. Words and phrases can be moved as a single unit in sentences, meeting the synthetic criterion of wordhood. This is true for hyphenated words like jack of all trades and forget-me-not. Morphological, a word has internal cohesion and cannot be divided into smaller units. It can only be modified by adding prefix or suffix. Some compounds like forget-me-not behave consistently as single words with eternal modification, while others like runner-up may vary in their behavior. Phonological words are separated by potential pauses in spoken language, although we don't always pause between them. A word spoken in isolation has a single primary stress. The presence of a single primary stress is a reliable criterion, but it can be challenged by compound adjectives like noteworthy, which have 2 primary stress but are still treated as a single words in other respects. Grammatical words can be categorized into specific classes based on their grammatical functions. Another difficulty is the term word itself, which may be used in a number of different ways. Word form, it can refer to the physical realization of a word, which can be either the written form or the spoken form. Lexeme, word may also refer to the lexeme, which is like a dictionary entry and includes all inflected forms of a word. Lexemes are indicated by small capitals and represent an abstraction or class of forms. For example, walk encompasses walk, walks, walk, walking. Different lexemes may have the same word form, leading to concept. These are the concepts. Homonym is a single orthographic and phonological word standing for 2 lexemes. For example, beer is either the verb or the noun. A homograph is a single orthographic word, but separate phonological words standing for 2 lexemes, as lit is either the noun lit or the verb lit. A morpheme, homophone, is a single phonological words, but separate orthographical words standing for two lexemes, as meet is either to noun meet or the verb meet. Morphosynthetic word. The term word can also refer to morphosynthetic word, which different morphosynthetic word can have different word forms, like take, took, taken, or the same word form, put, put, put. Morphemes. Morphemes are the smallest units of meaning in a language, and they don't necessarily correspond to whole words. Some morphemes can stand alone as word head, while others must be attached to the other morphemes, like s. They cannot be further divided into smaller meaningful units. They remain unchanged and indivisible within a word. They can be used in various positions and contexts. Also, morphemes are typically enclosed within curly brackets for representation. Morphemes are typically lexical morphemes. These carry the main dictionary meanings and belong to word categories such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. They are considered content words and make up upon categories that can have new members added to them. Lexical morphemes can be independent words like run, fast, or past of words like prefix or suffix. Grammatical morphemes. These express common grammatical or sentence-related meanings like tense, number, gender, and relation within sentences. They belong to minor word categories like prepositions, articles, conjunctions, and auxiliaries. Unlike lexical morphemes, grammatical morphemes do not constitute open categories, and their usage can be predicted by the grammatical rules of a sentence. Morphs. Morphs are the concrete realization of morphemes. In other words, morphemes are abstract, while morphs are the specific sound or written symbols that represent those abstract meanings. Xeromorph is a morpheme that has no overt or concentrate realization. For example, in the word fish, both the singular and plural forms are pronounced the same. Types of morphs. Free morphs. A free morph can stand alone as a word and does not need to be attached to another morph. Free morphs are always roots, which means they carry the primary lexical or grammatical meaning. They can attach to the other free or bound morphemes. For example, roots are underlined in words like overgrown. Bound morphs. A bound morph must always be attached to another morph and cannot stand alone as an independent word. Bound roots often come from foreign borrowings, and their meanings may not be easily discernible without knowledge of their etymology. For example, in words like convert, transmit, conceive, and transfer, you can identify the bound roots like word from Latin verter, meaning to run. Root. A root is morpheme that carries the core meaning of a word. It can stand alone as a word, and it is always free. Roots are the main lexical and grammatical building blocks of words. An affix is a morpheme that is always bound. It must be attacked to a root to form a word. Affixes do not carry the core meaning of the word, but serve to modify or add information to the root. In English, there are two types of affix: prefix and suffix. Derivational affix. A derivational affix can be either a prefix or a suffix. It serves to convert one part of speech to another or change the meaning of the root. Derivational affix play a crucial role in the in word formation and they are essential for creating new words in a language. They usually precede inflectional affix. An inflectional affix is always a suffix in English. It attaches to all or most members of a certain words class, nouns or verbs. The primary function of inflectional affix is to indicate grammatical meanings such as tense or number. Inflectional affix occur at the end of a word following the root and any derivational affix. They are significant in the context of the entire sentence grammar. Productive inflection are grammatical markers or affixes that can be added to new words entering the language to express a particular grammatical category. In other words, these inflections are still actively used and can be applied to a wide range of words. In modern English, there are only 8 productive inflections. These are some examples. Plural number S, past tense ed, or comparative degree R. Enclitic. An enclitic is a type of contraction, specifically a bound form that originates from an independent word but must be attacked to the preceding word. In English, there are two main types of enclitics. Contracted auxiliaries, these are attacked to the preceding subject. Negative contraction not, this is attacked to the preceding auxiliary. Some auxiliary, for example, may, can, the contraction of not sometimes produce marginally acceptable forms mayn't, might. The relationship between morph and morphemes is not always one-to-one, and morphemes can combine or be realized in various ways. This allows for two distinct methods of word analysis. One based on formal or structural divisions, which spreads a word into morphs, and the other based on recognizing abstract unit of meaning, dividing words into morphemes. Some nouns like sheep pose a challenge for morphemic analysis because they can be either singular or plural. Adjectives, to explain the analysis of adjectives through examples. For instance, smaller has two morphs, small and er, and it's analyzed as having two morphemes. Small is root and comparative degree. Smallest has two morphs, small and est, and it's analyzed as having two morphemes. Small is root and superlative degree. Better has one morph, but it's analyzed as having two morphemes. Good is root and comparative degree. Best has one morph but it's analyzed as having two morphemes. Good is root and superlative degree. Here are some verbs. For example, worked has two morphs, work and ed. Also two morphemes, work and past. But put has just one morph, is put, but two morphemes, put and past. There are four different morphological realization rules that explain how morphemes combine and are represented within words. Here's an explanation of these rules and some example. Agglutinative rule. In this rule, two morphemes are realized as morph that remain distinct and are simply glued together. For example, riders rule plus plural riders. Here, rider and plural are distinct morph combined to create the plural form. Fusional rule. With the fusional rule, two morphemes are realized as morph that do not remain distinct but are fused together into a single unit. For example, tooth is root and plus plural teeth. Here tooth and plural merge to form the plural form, and the distinction is not clear between the two morphemes. Null realization rule. In this rule states that a specific morpheme is never realized as a morph in any word of the relevant class. For example, singular on nouns which never has constraint realization in English. This means that the singular form is often unmarked. Relo zero rule. In this rule, a morpheme is realized as a zero morph in particular members of a word class. For example, put is root and plus part plus past tense. Put, in this case, the past tense morph past is realized as a zero morph in the word put. Allomorphs and morphemic rules. Morphemes, just like phonemes, have a predictable variation known as allomorph. Allomorphs are distinct form of a morpheme or the phonetic expression of an abstract morpheme. They share similar meanings and occur in complementary situations. However, they might not always be similar in terms of pronunciation. Allomorphs are predicted or continued in one of three ways. Phonologically continued, the choice of a particular allomorph is based on the phonetic environment, making it predictable from the sound patterns of the language. Grammatically continued, the appearance of an allomorph can may be unpredictable from a phonological standpoint, but it's determined by the language's grammar or linguistic rules. For variation, some allomorphs can be used interchangeably in all linguistic contexts, demonstrating free variation. In essence, allomorphs are different forms of a morpheme that can be predicted based on phonetics, grammar, or may exhibit free variation in their usage. Derivation. Derivation is the process of adding a word-forming affix to a root to create a new word. Derivational affix differ from inflectional suffix and can result in various changes to the new word. These changes can include the addition of a derivational affix may lead to phonological change in the word. This could involve stress change or alteration in pronunciation. For example, reduce, reduction. Derivation can also cause an orthographic change in the root of the word, altering its spelling. For example, deny, Daniel. Semantic derivation can introduce a change in the meaning of the word. This semantic change can be relatively complex and may involve shifts in the word's meaning. For example, emerge, emergency. The addition of a derivational affix can result in a change in the word class. For instance, a verb can become an adjective or a noun through derivation. Impress is a verb. Impression is a noun. Types of derivational affix. Derivational affix in English can be either prefix or suffix. Derivational affix can be categorized as native originating from Old English or foreign borrowed from other languages, especially French. The productivity of derivational affix varies. Some may have limited use and are preserved in only a few words, no longer actively used to create new words. Others are highly productive and are still actively used to form new words. An example of an unproductive suffix is this, as seen in words like warmth. These suffixes are no longer commonly used to create the new words. The other example of productive suffix is able. In this example, available, this suffix is actively used to create new words. The choice of which affix attached to which root is arbitrary and unpredictable. It's not governed by a specific rule but must be specified separately for each root. Derivation is considered part of the lexion of a language rather than its grammar. It involves the creation of a new word and it's not subject to grammatical rules. Only three prefixes which are no longer productive in English. These are a, be, and an. Semantic impact of prefixes. Some prefixes modify the meaning of the root word without changing its grammatical class. The prefix can be grouped into various semantic categories, each reflecting the type of meaning they contribute to root word. It provides two specific categories. Privation. Privatives prefix express the reverse of an action or absence of the quality. Negation. Negative prefix indicate not. Often have the flexibility to attack to multiple parts of speech. For instance, mislead is a verb and misfortune is noun, both using the prefix mis. Suffix have two main functions: to change the meaning of the root word and to change the part of speech or of the root word. Suffix that change the meaning but not the word class when attached to nouns, adjective or verbs. It introduced various categories of suffix. Diminutive suffix, for example, let, ea. Feminine suffix, s. Abstract suffix, ship, hood. Suffix donating people, ian, ist, er. Suffix are also categorized based on their function in changing the word class of the root word. Nominalizers change a verb or adjective into a noun. Verbalizer transform a noun or adjective into a verb. Adjectivelers create an adjective from a noun, verb, or another adjective. Adverbializer represent the smallest set of class-changing suffix. The formation of a complex word is not always predictable or regular. Adding the suffix is often result in phonetic changes. Some words exhibit an additional phonetic change. For example, publicist. Ist words can refer to individuals adhering to a theory, practicing a scientific profession. For example, realist. The morphology of ist word is not entirely regular. Some are related to abstract nouns ending in, for example, botany. The ist suffix often competes with other suffixes like ian and, for example, Darwinian. Incorrect morphological divisions lead to the creation of words with unintended meanings. For example, helicopter should be divided as helic and opter rather than helico and pter. Also, they can be expressed by tree diagrams. In this diagram, the second derivation is unfeasible since it requires the ability to hold at any time while maintaining a command of the English language. The noun word non-smoke is the result of the second derivation. Reduplication. Reduplication is a word formation process where the initial syllable or entire word is doubled, sometimes with slight phonological changes. In English, reduplication is not a common or regular process, but it's used for various purposes, often in children's language or for humorous and ironic effects. And there are three main types of reduplication. Exact reduplication. In this type, the word or syllable is repeated exactly. Example, papa, mama. Ablaut reduplication. Here the consonants remain identical, but the vowels alternate. For example, zigzag. Rime reduplication. In this type, the consonants change while the vowel remains the same. For example, hocus pocus. Conversion or functional shifts. A functional shift, also known as conversion, involves changing one part of speech into another without adding a suffix. This transformation can lead to a shift in word class, often accompanied by a change in stress. The following types of the functional shift are common in English. A verb to noun. In this shift, a verb is converted into a noun. For example, run becomes a run. Noun to verb. This involves converting a noun into a verb. For instance, man can become to men. Adjective to verb. Adjectives can be converted into verbs. For example, weary becomes to weary. Adjective to noun. In this shift, turns an adjective into a noun. For instance, daily becomes a daily. Particle to verb. A particle which includes prepositions, adverbs, and some conjunctions can become verbs. For example, down can become to down. The semantic changes resulting from functional shift can vary. For example, verb to noun, an attack, a noun to verb, to water, adjective to verb, better, adjective to noun, daily, particle to verb, to down. Less common conversion include preposition the nouns, adverbs to nouns, and prefix to nouns. It can be challenging to determine the original form in conversion, but sometimes semantics or morphological modification provide clues. Converted forms will always take regular, productive inflection and never retain remnants of irregular inflection. Some converted words exhibit a difference in stress patterns between the noun and verb forms. The stress falls on the first syllable on the noun and the second syllable of the word. Commonization is a type of functional shift in which a proper noun is converted into a common word, often without phonological changes. Cantor and Frank. A compound is the combination of two or more free roots along with associated affix. Distinguishing between a compound and a synthetic phrase can be challenging, partly due to English orthography variations. Both compounds and phrases may express semantically choice nations, making it difficult to differentiate them solely based on meaning. Compounds often have non-literal order of elements, while phrases tend to have a more literal order. However, this rule has some limitations. A more reliable way to differentiate them is internal coherence. Compounds are externally modified at the single word boundary, while phrases can be modified at any word boundary. For example, the plural manhole is manholes, while the plural of man of war is men of war, demonstrating internal modification. Compounds move as a whole within a sentence, while phrases can be moved in parts. For example, the lawyer conducted cross-examination. Another example, he checked out the witness, or he checked the witness out. Stress patterns provide a reliable means. For example, stone is a compound, but stone wall, it's a phrase. The syntax of compound are complex. and it's challenging to predict their meanings from the constituent roots, for example in highball or makeup. Older English preferred prefix verbs such as forget, understood, but modern English favors verbs followed by past verbal particles such as run over. Phrasal verbs, unlike compounds, can undergo internal modification. For these reasons, we must conclude that phrasal verbs are phrases, not compounds. Phrase compounds is formed by combining entire phrases. For example, lady in waiting. This phrase compounds possess semantic unity, and many of these are like compounds. Some are like phrases. Blends are sometimes called portmanteau words. There are two types, compound and clipping. Compounding is two or more words joined together to form a new word. Clipping is shortening a word by deleting one or more syllables. For example, film plus biography, filmography. Back formation, it's type of reduction process in which speakers create a morphologically simpler word by analyzing an existing word, which they consider morphological complex based on derivational and inflectional patterns in English. This often involves the removal of an affix, even if the word structure doesn't actually contain that affix. It can lead to the formation of new words. For example, emotion, emote, transcription, transcript. Shortening, there are three forms: acronyms, initialism, and clipped forms. Clipping either the end of it can be either the end of or the beginning, or less often both. For example, an fun, fanatic, beginning burger, hamburger, beginning and end, flu, influenza. Acronym, the initial letters of words in a phrases are pronounced as a word. For example, SALT, strategic arms limitation talks. Initialism, the initial letters of a word in a phrases are pronounced as letters. BC, before Christ. Root creation, the rarest form of word formation, is the root creation. The invention of an entirely new root morpheme. Brand names are the most likely example of root creation. For example, Levi's named for the inventor Levi Strauss, or McDonald's named for the original owners Richard McDonald. Boom, blab, these are onomatopic words. Some new words are considered literary coinings, such as Shakespeare's dwindle. Items, they are syntactically fixed, meaning the word within an item cannot be altered or replaced. The meaning of item is not usually predictable from the individual words. This is called non-compositionality. Items often have metaphorical or proverbial meanings and are emotionally charged. They are typically ecological